Hey, what's up everybody, Tech Chucker here, and I've got a review of the Hasbro Marvel Legends Thor Ragnarok Wave Lady Thor, also known as Jane Foster. Now, this is not one of the figures that I was super excited about. It does look really nice in the package, but there are some major issues with this figure, at least in my opinion. So let's go ahead and crack this thing open and take a closer look. Alrighty, let's go ahead and take a look at the articulation first on this figure. Now, she has a ball peg and a hinge in her head, and she can look up about this. Oh, that head pops off. Head pops off fairly easily, but that shouldn't be too big of an issue. But she can look up about this far. The hair does get in the way, but not as bad as it used to be. She can get her chin down into her chest, which is pretty nice. And then she does have good rotation of her head. The hair does kind of get in the way a little bit, but not too awful bad. And then she does have a little bit of tilt, but you can see her head is extraordinarily loose. I mean, look how loose that is. I mean, this is really bad. Now, this is fixable. You could stuff something in that ball peg hole. So, shoulders, she's got a ball hinge, works really good. She's able to get that shoulder arm up above the shoulder. She's got full rotation of that shoulder as well. And then there is an upper bicep swivel that works good. They are getting loose on mine. And then she has a single hinge in the elbow, just shy of 90 degrees. There is a peg also, allows her to swivel. And then she has a peg and a hinge in her wrist. No real issues with that. She can move it, curl it forward. Curling it back is a little bit hindered because of that forearm armor, but, you know, it's okay. Moving into the torso, she's got that standard female torso. Basically no forward motion. I said that weird. But she's got pretty good backwards motion. It looks okay, not too bad. She is able to swivel side to side, which is good, and it's kind of ratcheted, which is kind of cool. And then she does have just a little bit of side to side crunch. It's actually pretty good, but there is no other waist swivel, which is a bit of a bummer. Moving down into the hips, she's got T-jointed ball joints, and they're really limited for a female character. This is really bad. She's able to kick forward just about 90, it's about 90 degrees, not too bad. She is able to kick back, you know, a little bit. It is a little bit hard to get in there and get her to kick back with that skirt thing, but she can kick back a little bit, not too bad. She has an upper thigh cut that works good. And then she's got double jointed knees. Those also work really, really quite well. She's able to get that knee bent all the way in half. No upper shin cut, which, you know, I kind of wish that she did have it. She's got a hinge in her ankles. She's able to get that foot back quite a ways, and she's able to get the foot forward quite a ways, which is really nice. And then she has an ankle rocker that works pretty good. So overall, the actual articulation is good. The joints are just loose. You know, the head joint, the ball joint's loose, and her upper biceps are quite loose on mine, and the wrists are getting loose. So from a distance, or at a glance, this figure looks really, really cool. But once I get this focused, once you get a closer look, there's a lot of weirdness and issues. I cannot stand the eyes. They did not need to put pupils on her. Just paint those eyes white, and that would have been just fine. Heck, even black would have been better. The rest of it is, I mean, it's painted fairly cleanly. It does look like there's, you know, I don't know, it's okay. The hair is soft, but I feel it looks weird because, I don't know, it just feels like, why do they have to have some of it come over the shoulder and some behind? I don't know. The ear things are relatively soft, which is nice. The back of the hair seems to have some shading, which is nice. So I'm pleased with it. Moving down into the chest, this metal armor looks really nice. They painted it very, very nicely. Even the torso piece where it's the skin tone is painted cleanly. This skirt thing is painted very, very nicely. It looks really good. It is too rigid of a plastic. It's really kind of a hard plastic. And if you look at it, from this angle, she has an immense butt. She really doesn't have this big of a butt, but holy cow, it's like, what is her name, Lil' Kim or whatever? I mean, this is insanely huge. She's got a lot of junk in that trunk based off of this look. And I do not like this look. So looking at these shin wraps, those look really cool. I like those. Her shoes are very, very nicely sculpted. I like them. And these little pieces that are floating, at first I thought they were stupid. And I thought it was dumb that they were floating. But it's actually really, really nice so that you can position her foot, and then you can actually shove these things down into the correct position so that it covers up the ankle, which is pretty cool that they made it just soft enough that we could do that. There just isn't any other paint on it to kind of make it really pop, which would have helped. So let's throw this cape on, and this thing just pegs into the back. I don't like the execution of it. I feel it's too big for her. It does look good, but because it doesn't peg on very well, it doesn't stay on very well. It makes, basically, in order for her to stand with it on, you have to lean her forward, which is a pain. All right, let's do a quick measurement. She stands roughly just shy of 6.5 inches. If you go all the way to the points of the ears, it is 6.5. And let's go ahead and do a size comparison. We'll throw Deadpool in right next to her. If I can find him. Here we go. Okay, so here is Deadpool right next to Jane Foster Thor. He is a little bit taller than her. Not a huge amount, especially once you get the little feather things on the side of her helmet. But I think it's a fairly good scale for this figure. Again, that cape I think is just too big. I don't know, it just doesn't scale right with her. It does cover up that giant butt, which is good. But, you know, it is what it is. Overall, the sculpt has some really high points. The paint has some good points, but there's also some really, really low points too. Alrighty, so the accessories that she comes with, she comes with her Thor hammer, which is sculpted very, very nicely. I really like this. Hasbro seems to always do very good with the Thor hammers. The paint scheme is very good. The handle could use a little bit of paint, but I really, really like the actual hammer. This is sculpted so nicely. They did a really good job. Like I said, the handle could use some paint detail, but it does have some really nice sculpt detail, which is really, really cool. This handle strap, I wish that they had softer plastic for it, but it is still just a really nice accessory. So let's go ahead and throw this in her one hand. She has a fist hand on the left hand and a gripping hand on the right hand. And the unfortunate part is it's not a tight enough fit. And because her wrist and upper bicep joints are getting loose, she could barely hold the weight of it. And it is constantly falling out of position, which is a huge bummer. But again, you know, at least to get it to stay in her hand, you can use some of that blue ticky tack if you need to get it to stay in position. But it's a really nice accessory. This cape, I already talked a little bit about. It's sculpted nicely. I mean, there's some nice detail. There's no paint on it. There's no real shading or anything. It's a rigid plastic. I'm not a fan of it. It's just, I would prefer cloth. It pegs in with this big peg on the back, and that is it. So it doesn't stay on the way that I would like it to, and it doesn't, I don't know, it aesthetically looks decent on her, but I really would prefer a cloth cape. I mean, Hasbro, come on, let's get some cloth capes here. So overall, this figure, I would say, is a bit of a letdown, except the fact that I wasn't really all that excited about it in the first place. So, you're gonna need it if you want to finish that Battle Hulk. But if you can, try not to have to pay full price for it. I lucked out and got mine for a considerable discount. There's some really high points. I mean, the paint is good in areas, it's kind of crappy in others. The sculpt is good in areas and kind of crappy in others. So it's up to you whether or not you need to get this one. I wouldn't say it's a must-have. But, you know, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to find out what your thoughts are. And I hope this review was helpful. If it was, go ahead and hit the like button, leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and until next time, I'll see you later.